Before Final Four banners, before multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art facilities, before thousands of fans packed themselves like sardines to watch a women's basketball game, there was a national fight for women's equality that permeated the collegiate ranks, a fight for progress in the Title IX era, and in Oregon, a fight to show that women's basketball not only deserved equality, it demanded it.
We played just as hard as any male athlete in our era, and now we just need that opportunity to be equal, and I think we can make our own way.
This is the story of the rivalry, which, unknown to us at the time, became the pillar in which women's basketball was built upon in the Northwest.
Well, they won. I only remember that.
I remember that too.
Yeah. This is Carol Menken-Shout.
I'm going out there every game, and you're getting everything I got.
Oregon State women's basketball legend. From 1979 to 1981, Menken exploded onto the basketball scene. A perennial scorer, still holds the record for career field goal percentage and was the nation's leading scorer in the 1980-81 season with 29.6 points per game.
I was like, damn, those Beavers, you know.
Oregon fans are well acquainted with Bev Smith, a two-time Kodak All-American as a player in 1980 and 81, plus former Ducks head coach from 2001 to 2009.
It was a great rivalry that just made everybody better.
The two battled one another in college for 3 seasons, each named All-Americans in 1981. Bev and the Ducks swept the regular season Civil War series, but Menken and the Beavs ran the show in the postseason.
I just remember distinctly losing to them twice during the season.
And then beating us.
And then beating them in the
Not just once, but twice.
You know, it was devastating for us because I think my freshman year, we had a pretty good year. We might have been even undefeated up until that time.
Yes. Both graduated as the all-time leading scorer for their universities. But during this time, a time when the NCAA didn't view women's basketball as a revenue sport, a time when women's teams would drive to games, when the men would fly, a time when women used PE-issued practice gear. The most important statistic wasn't how many points Menken or Smith could score. It was attendance.
When you're talking about the late 70s, women's basketball was not drawing crowds. And so if we got, 100 people at our game, that was, half of them were relatives.
What the fans and the game needed was a product.
You have to have athleticism and skills on the court that are better than what are sitting in the stands in order for it to be a spectator sport. You couldn't pull 5 guys out of the stands and beat them.
With 2 of the nation's most prolific players in the region, the game garnered more interest.
And we started getting 2,000 to 3,000 people out to our games to watch the Civil War in women's basketball. Out front, Matt Court just says women's game at 7 tonight against Oregon State. No, you're not a prelim anymore.
In 1980, the women's basketball Civil War was televised live for the first time.
There was no ESPN3 or ESPNU or ESPN. To have a game televised, a women's game televised was, that didn't happen until
you're like you got
Final
radio.
Four.
Regional and local media began regularly covering women's games, and the culture again started to shift.
To Oregon's credit, they saw that this was something that was going to, really evolve.
The NCAA adopted women's basketball in 1982. The WNBA was established in 1997. The NCAA Women's Final Four has been nationally televised on ESPN since 2003.
I think it was as important that young girls and boys could say, I can watch you play, because they had a chance to young girls had a chance to see role models that looked like them, that talked like them, that acted like them, that were them.
Oregon and Oregon State have blossomed on the national stage in recent years. Smith says the female student-athlete population is just now catching up to the head start of male student-athletes. But the limelight is shining brighter on Oregon and Oregon State women's basketball than it ever has before.
Sometimes you should not look just where you have to go, but how far you've come.